everyone, welcome to my channel. Tonight's cook along is going to be Bang Bang Meatballs. And this isn't just any recipe. This is a tried and true favorite here at my house. I probably make this once every 2 to 3 weeks because we just start to crave it. We just want to have it. And so that's what we're having for dinner tonight. Everybody at my house is pretty excited. And I hope that you are going to cook along with me. All of the ingredients that you need are in the video description, along with a link to the original recipe that I found that I will be using tonight, so you can kind of peek ahead. I hope that you get everything together and join me on this cooking adventure tonight so that you can enjoy this amazing dish at the end of this video along with us. So let's get cooking. As always, the first thing that we want to do is preheat our oven. If that's something that we forget to do, it kind of sets us back time-wise. So go ahead and preheat your oven to 425 degrees. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start on our meatball mixture. So after you preheat that oven, grab a bowl and we'll get started on that as well. Okay, we're going to go in with a pound of ground beef, and I'm using lean ground beef. And I'm just gonna kind of break that up as I put it in my bowl. Breaking it up as I put it in makes it a little bit easier to mix together when the time comes with our sausage and all of our seasonings. Okay, so we got our meat there, and then we're going to do a pound of ground pork. And I really like the flavor of this Jimmy Dean regular sausage. And so that's what I use, but if you're not a fan or, you know, don't want to use this, that's okay. You can use just plain ground pork as well. Gotta love the kitchen shears. They make a lot of jobs in the kitchen faster and easier. Okay, and then same thing with this sausage. Going in with a pound of sausage and just kind of breaking it up as I go. And using my hands, honestly, your hands are probably some of the best tools that you have in the kitchen, and they're attached to you. Okay, so we've got a pound of ground pork, we've got a pound of ground beef, and now we're going to start adding some of the other ingredients after I go wash my hands. Okay, so to our meat mixture, we're going to add 1.5 cups of Panko breadcrumbs. And I have a 1/2 cup measure here because I'm lazy and I try my hardest to make as few dirty dishes as possible. So I'm going to do 3 of these to make 1.5 cups. And as you can tell, I make these a lot. So these are pretty much pantry staples in my house. So I have a fresh one right here, not to fear. And the Panko breadcrumbs basically act as like a binder for these, and they help to absorb all the fat and the flavors in our meatballs. Keep them nice and plump. We're going to do 2 eggs. Just going to give it a crack. There's one. Okay, we're gonna do some ginger and some garlic. As you can see here, I have already prepared ginger and garlic. I get these in the produce section at the store. These are quick and easy. If you are interested in preparing fresh garlic or fresh ginger, I have made a video tutorial on that as well, and I will include a link in the end screen. We're going to go in with 1 teaspoon of grated ginger. Oh, woo! That was messier than I had hoped. And 3 teaspoons of the minced garlic. This is why when you see me, I hardly ever measure. I just kind of eyeball it because it is kind of hard. But there's about 3 teaspoons. Two teaspoons of sriracha. Three tablespoons of soy sauce. Another ingredient that I appear to be getting low on. But also another pantry staple that I've already bought more of. We're going to do 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder. And since my teaspoon is all dirty from the other seasonings I just did, I've got a 1/2 teaspoon, so I'm going to do 3 of these for 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder. One and a half teaspoons of salt. And a teaspoon of ground black pepper, which I never measure. I just put in however much I want. All right, and now using the best tools we have in our kitchen today, I'm going to use my hands and I'm just going to start mixing this all up. Just pull it up and squeeze. Try to get it all mixed together. And that egg is really probably the best indicator of how mixed it is, because at first you can see the yolk. You can see where some parts of the mixture have a yolk and others don't. And then that kind of starts to disappear, and you can see that it's pretty well mixed. Okay, so this looks good. I'm going to kind of make it nice. And then I'm going to cut it roughly in half. Just cut it down the middle like that. So the reason that I cut the meat into 2 portions is because we have 2 pounds of meat here. We've got a pound of the beef and we've got a pound of the sausage or the ground pork. And that's a lot. That is too much for my family. Tonight I'm feeding just 3 of us. And you'll see even just half of this mixture makes an entire baking pan full of meatballs. So for me, what I like to do is I like to put this in a Ziploc bag, or the other half in a Ziploc bag, and just write on the bag in a Sharpie what it is, because you think you'll remember what's in your freezer, but you won't. And I put it in the freezer. And then the next time that we are craving Bang Bang meatballs, which will probably be in 2 to 3 weeks, I don't have to do all of this stuff that I just did. I just pull it out of the freezer and I thaw it out, and then I go on to the next step, which will be forming our meatballs. You're certainly welcome to cook all of it, but as I said, it's too much for my family, and the next time I go to make these, this will be a huge time saver. I'm gonna just wash my hands, and then I'm gonna try to push the air out of this bag so that it can go into the freezer. All right, ready for next time. Okay, now we're going to start to form our meatballs with the remaining half of the meat that we have here. And the first thing that we want to do is just lightly oil a sheet pan. And so I'm going to put a little olive oil on here. And I'm using a pastry brush to just kind of coat the bottom of this sheet pan with it. You can use non-stick spray if you would like. If you don't have a pastry brush, you can use a paper towel. Just drizzle some olive oil and then use a paper towel to kind of lightly coat the bottom of the pan. I made a video about my squirt bottle trick, and I will include a link to that one in the end screen too, but that is something that saves me a lot of time here in the kitchen. Okay, we're gonna start to form the meatballs, and I have this is about a 2 tablespoon scoop. It's a little scooper, and I use this because it helps me to get meatballs that are exactly the same size, which is important for consistent cooking. I want all of my meatballs to be done at the same time, and if they have different sizes, the smaller ones might be done, maybe even overdone, dried out, and then the larger ones might not even be cooked all the way through. So if you don't have one of these, it's okay to use a spoon, just a regular spoon, but just be mindful as you visually inspect your meatballs to just make sure that they're all looking about the same size. Okay, and as you can see, this little scoop that I have makes it, as I said, very, very easy for me to get meatballs that are the same size. If you are using a regular spoon, it might take you a little bit longer than it takes me, and that's okay. Just, when I get done doing mine, just go ahead and pause this video and then start back up when you've got all of your meatballs formed. You will not miss anything to take a pause and finish up the meatball formation process. So I do go back and make them tighter, more uniform, but that's going to get my hands messy again. So I just do all of the measuring out first, and then I go back and kind of make them more round and tight, I guess you could say. More compact. As I said, this is like, it's a lot of meatballs. Can you imagine if we had done the other half? I mean, it really does require two full-size baking sheets to do the whole 2 pounds of meat. Okay, and now I'm going to get my hands dirty, and I'm just going to pick each one of these up and give them a squeeze so that they're nice and tight little balls, and then a little roll and put it down. See how nice that one looks? So pretty. And we will just do all of them like so. Isn't this peaceful? This is part of what I just love about being in the kitchen. It's so quiet. And here I am working on this, and it's going to be so delicious. My family's going to be so excited to eat it later. It's very rewarding. I find cooking to be relaxing and very rewarding. I'm hoping that's contagious. Hopefully this channel helps you to discover the joy of cooking too. Got one little oddball here. I'm just gonna make a little bit more room for him. Right there. And washing hands again. All right, so I don't know if you heard it beep way back when, but my oven is preheated now to 425 degrees. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my meatballs in, and I'm gonna set a timer for 20 minutes. The original recipe, I think, says 18, but I always felt like in my oven, and based on the size of the meatballs that I make, that it was just a little bit, some of them were a little bit underdone. So I go an extra 2 minutes on mine. You're going to have to kind of get to know your oven to know how long you need. Why don't you just start with 20 with me, and then make a note as to if they were too done or underdone or what, and then you'll know for next time. Actually, I changed my mind. Set your timer for 10 minutes, because halfway through our cook time, we're going to want to turn our meatballs over. So we don't want to get distracted and not do that. So let's go ahead and set it for 10. It's probably better. Okay, while my meatballs are in the oven, I am going to go ahead and get my rice started. If you have a rice cooker, I recommend that you use your rice cooker and just make rice the way that you know how to make rice. Rice is pretty tricky, and it kind of depends on the type of rice and how much you're making and what your stovetop is like there's just too many variables for, for a successful rice to all make rice the same. So if you have a rice cooker, I recommend that you use it. If you don't, I recommend just following the directions on the bag of rice that you have. I think I'm using a jasmine rice tonight, so I'm going to just be using the directions that are on my bag of jasmine rice. And if you're making it on the stovetop, I just highly recommend you're going to need a pot with a very tight fitting lid so that the steam does not escape. You really need that steam to cook the rice. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my rice started. Okay, so again, just following the directions on the bag of rice that I have, I've got 1.5 cups of water. And I'm just gonna bring that to a boil. And then I like to add I should say 4. I like to do 4 big pinches of salt. Just start building that seasoning, starting with our rice. And because of the flavor profile of this dish, I also like to add a little bit of sesame oil. I would say, I'm not going to measure here, but I would say probably about a teaspoon if you want to measure that out. Go ahead and get my 1 cup of rice ready to go. Here we are waiting for water to boil. They say a watched pot never boils. If you would like to go get some water, I feel like this is a workout video. If you would like to get some water, now's a good time to do so. Glass of wine, now's a good time to do so. It doesn't really take all that long for 1.5 cups of water to boil. Seems like if I go off and do something else, it happens very quickly. So it's just when you're standing here waiting for it that it seems to take forever. Actually, I was watching America's Test Kitchen. I follow them on Instagram, and it's actually proven that water boils faster if you put a lid on it, which really actually makes complete sense because you're trapping that heat inside the pot, so it should get hotter faster. And I have the benefit of a glass lid. If you haven't bought cookware yet, or you haven't spent a lot of money on cookware yet, when the time comes that you want to spend a lot of money on cookware, these are the things that you need to think about. I was really adamant that I wanted glass lids because it's so important to be able to see what's going on in there without taking the lid off. I do see some boiling. It's starting, but I do want a more intense boil than that. I want more than just little bubbles at the bottom. I want like a rolling of the water. Ooh, I hear my 1 minute timer on my meat, which means it's almost time to flip over. I'm gonna put in my rice. Give that a stir. And then once I start to see some boiling action going on again, like I am right now, I'm going to put my lid back on, turn this down to medium low, and I'm gonna set another timer for about 20 minutes. All right, the timer is going off. Our 10 minutes is up on the meatballs, so I'm gonna pull them out and flip them over. They look good. Okay, and you can see that they're starting to get some lovely color, some caramelization on the bottom side here. And so we're just gonna flip those. Oh, I missed one. Lovely. All right, and then back in the oven for another 10 minutes. Okay, so we've got some things going on. We've got our rice that's on the stove. We've got a timer set for that, so we'll be listening for that. We've got our meatballs in the oven, and we've got a timer set for that. And now we are going to start working on our bang bang sauce, and this is truly the star of the show. It is so good. So let's get going on that. Okay, so I've got a small bowl here, and we are going to do a 1/3 cup of mayonnaise. And you can certainly use Best Foods mayonnaise or whatever, brand you like, but I really enjoy this Japanese mayonnaise, which is called Kewpie mayonnaise. I think it gives it the sauce a better flavor. But I have also used just regular mayonnaise as well, and that works out fine too. So just make sure I have about 1/3 cup. Go in with that. and 1/3 cup of sour cream. Sometimes I'm not the most prepared with spoons and such. Sorry. Okay, so about 1/3 cup of sour cream. Yeah. 1/4 cup of sweet Thai style sweet chili sauce. And this is the good stuff. This is what makes this bang bang sauce kind of tart and sweet at the same time. It is so good. You're gonna love it. And again, I make this recipe all the time. You can see this is gonna go on my grocery list because I just used the last of it. And I know I'm gonna wanna have it on hand for next time. Okay, we're gonna do 3 tablespoons of sriracha. And if you don't like a lot of spice, you can certainly cut back on the sriracha. If you like a ton of spice, you can add more. I have found that the amount in this recipe seems to be like just right. So that's why I measure, because if I follow the recipe perfect, I always just really, really like how it turns out. Okay, and then 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. Okay. And I'm just going to give that a little whisk or a stir if you don't have a whisk. Sometimes, if you don't have a whisk, sometimes just using a fork will help to kind of break up the mayo and the sour cream and make it nice and smooth. All right, and then I'm going to give that a taste to see how it is and see if it needs anything. Nope, that is so good. Okay, so my timer went off for my meatballs and I have pulled them out of the oven and they look really, really good. Okay, you can see that they are all nice and browned and caramelized. These are perfect. And I actually want to let them rest. So I'm going to leave them on this pan for a little bit longer. I still have 7 minutes left on my rice timer. And so I'm going to wait until the rice is done. So hopefully you have a little bit of extra time too. When I get this gift of time, I usually use it to start putting ingredients away and getting a little head start on picking up the kitchen. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn off the camera for a few minutes and get things cleaned up around here, and I will see you back here when my rice is ready. Okay, my rice is done. I'm just gonna give it a little fluff with my fork. And take that off heat. And now we're gonna get our meatballs ready. So I have a bowl here and I'm just going to place all of the meatballs in the bowl. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the bang bang sauce that we just made, and I'm going to drizzle a couple of spoonfuls. I just want the meatballs to get coated with the sauce. Okay, once you get a couple of spoonfuls in there, I'm just going to give them a swirl and a toss. Get them all nice and coated with that yummy, yummy sauce. So we've got our meatballs, we've got our sauce, we've got our rice. And I've got some fresh cilantro here. Just gonna chop up some fresh cilantro to go on the top. I think a green onion, a nice chopped green onion would be nice on top too. Gives it a little bit of flavor and color. Okay. So to assemble, we're just going to get some of this rice. Go ahead and put that down. I forgot my tongs over by the stove. Gonna do some of these meatballs on top of the rice. A little drizzle of this amazing sauce. Sometimes I make double of this because my kids just love it. Then a little fresh cilantro. And doesn't that look yummy? All right, you guys, the best part. I always get a little bit of that meatball and a little bit of the rice, and of course that sauce, into a single perfect, amazing, wonderful bite. It is so good. It is so good. Honestly, we could probably eat this every night and be happy. 10 out of 10. Really, really good dish. Family favorite. I'm gonna keep going. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I sincerely hope that you cooked along, because if you didn't, you are missing out on some deliciousness right now. I truly appreciate all of you who support my channel with your comments, with your likes. The best thing that you can do for me is to share. I want to reach people who don't know how to cook, that want a slowed down basic version of the cooking process so that they can keep up. They have, very little cooking knowledge. Those are the people that I'm looking for my channel. I want to teach people to cook that otherwise feel a little uncomfortable in the kitchen. So the best thing that you can do to support my channel is to share it with people that would enjoy it and use it and benefit from it. So thanks again so much for joining me tonight, and I hope to catch you next time.